Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our very first 2025 episode of How Would You Slice That? If you missed our 2024 episodes and you're not familiar with the show, we try to combine community conversation time with sharing some tips, tricks, or maybe some techniques to help you with your 3D printing. And if you didn't see any of the 2024 episodes, then you should also know that my co-host is Dr. Lawrence Nightingale, a local educator here in Northern Virginia. Thank you, Lawrence, and thank you for doing the show another year.
Hey, Vicky, thanks so much for having me. This has been it's always a good time, and it's great to be starting another year of How Would You Slice That?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all the little things I'm going to learn this year.
Yes, this year's been, well. If history is any indicator, there's a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of fun stuff too.
Especially from tonight's guest. How was that segue? That was
perfect. Right? That was perfect. Almost as if I wrote it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, everyone. Oh, did you have anything else before I roll into it?
You know, the thing that before we bring on the guest, the thing of it is that in our region, East Coast, we got maybe 5 inches of snow.
Oh, I measured 9 on our back deck.
9? Was that deep?
For at least for Occoquan, Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it was deeper than 5 inches, but it was good for 2 days of remote work because snow days no longer exist post-COVID. So, yeah, I've been here at the house, and it's funny when you're at the house like intensely like that. You don't leave the house. Things get kind of dirty. Dishes pile up, clothes get piled up. So I had to kind of clean up after myself before jumping onto the show today, because the snow kept me from making a mess in my office and making a mess in my car, and I guess I'm ready to get back to the office now.
Well, you and everybody should know that I am absolutely not a person who will judge a messy office or a messy house at any point in time. So,
thank you.
Like you can already see, I'm already starting to pile some things up again in my room, but.
As it should be. It's a sign of genius. So.
And speaking of geniuses, here's another segue.
Yes.
I'm excited about tonight's guest, who was one of the crucial teachers to me when I was starting my 3D printing journey. So there is a lot that can be said about our guest tonight, our first guest of 2025. He is a father. He is a teacher. He is a makerspace administrator. He is a fan of ties, so Lawrence and I dressed accordingly. He is a content creator. Not only does he run a YouTube station that is dedicated to 3D printing, but he runs another one that's dedicated to 3D modeling with Blender. He is an author. Every video that he posts, it has an accompanied blog post, which I've always found very helpful. And he's published at least 4 books on 3D printing. He's a businessman. He sells prints on Etsy and has membership programs on Patreon, things, and printables for his designs. Most impressively, from low poly dinos to Print-A-Block to the cute Cthulhu and friends, he has run at least 8 successful Kickstarter campaigns. And finally, it took a chance encounter at the LA Maker Faire for him to realize it. But our guest tonight has one more way to describe himself, and that is toy designer. So tonight, we welcome a man I've always found to be incredibly kind and supportive of me and my 3D printing journey. We are welcoming Joe Larson, the 3D printing professor.
Hey, thank you. That was it was so nice, but I'm glad you kept me off camera so that I could be all like, without anybody seeing it.
Nice.
And of course, you guys all got tied up, and I'm sitting here casual tonight.
Yeah, but that's all right. You're our guest. We want you comfortable, but we're just honoring you with our wardrobe today.
Love it. I appreciate it. No, the funny thing is, when I don't wear a tie, people get upset. But then when I do wear a tie, people are like, "Why are you wearing a tie? It's too formal." Oh, come on, guys. Let me win one, please. Well, I gotta say, Lawrence, you look good in a tie. Do you frequently get to wear one when you teach, or are you one of those teachers who Yeah. Oh, you. Well, I was gonna say, you wear it. You're not wearing a white shirt. You're wearing a blue shirt with the
It's
tie. So having to coordinate ties with colors is really
Oh,
difficult. You did a good job.
that's the
Thank
next
you.
stage thing. You know
Yeah, it
what?
is.
Actually, Joe. Now, the thing about it is actually it's because it's not just because of the tie. This is a double Windsor. Okay.
Ooh, good
Yeah. So
man.
you get in there with a double Windsor, it's kind of hard to miss. And
So,
yes, yeah, I do wear a tie to work pretty much every day.
well, remind me again. What do you teach?
I'm a college administrator,
Okay.
and on top of that, I also teach an orientation class called SDV, Student Development, and then
Mm.
also I am I'm an instructor for heating, cooling, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, as well. So,
I that I am instantly reminded of a community episode about that. But um, the thing that interests me because when I taught seventh grade math, there was another teacher who was learning. You know, we were all in the same training cohort, and he was ex-military,
mm,
and so he would walk into a classroom without with a t-shirt on and whatever, just blue jeans, and he would still instantly command respect just because he had that air about him. Whereas
wow.
me, I walk in with a tie and people immediately start thinking I'm this uptight dude, and then I start talking and it really quickly starts coming down and they realize how casual I am. And I feel like we both had different strategies for arriving in the same place.
Getting the same exact spot. Yes.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
did
you
it.
got to work with
He
with what works for you.
That's right. That's right. And I'm
Absolutely.
generally speaking so casual about everything that I do that wearing a tie helps me at least start from a place of like, okay, well this dude maybe deserves a little bit of a respect. And then 5 minutes of talking and they're like, oh no, he don't deserve nothing.
Come on. No,
Ah.
no, you get more respect than that, that's for sure. And
Well,
then
but I gotta earn it, you know.
well, in our community in 3D printing, that for sure, I will not take seventh grade math again to check it out, but
Oh, good grief.
I'm gonna have to think you definitely got the respect that you need to get those kids through the necessary formulas
Well, thank you.
and skills. Yes, absolutely.
I love math. That's why I taught it. I love seventh grade math. Um, I just did not love seventh grade, and I mean like either as a human being going through it myself,
Hmm.
or as a teacher trying to help other students going through. Because the problem is kids, man. Seventh grade is a terrible place to be as a human being. They
Oh
have
my
no idea who
goodness.
they are. We have
Yeah.
no idea who they are. We can't help. And then on top of it, we're taking away numbers and adding letters into their math. Like,
Yes.
no wonder that year sucks for everybody.
Where did these letters come from? This was math class. This wasn't
Right?
even this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to. Well, I mean, another revelation for everybody that has been watching How Would You Slice That for the last year that I haven't mentioned. I used to be a middle school counselor too.
Oh,
So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I
yeah,
didn't even know that, Lawrence.
That
yeah.
again, tough time for people. Tough
Yes.
time
Oh
for the
my
little
gosh.
people.
But I would say it to you this way though. Like I really enjoyed them as people.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed them. I don't know.
Absolutely.
It didn't. The age range did not bother me, not one little bit. I didn't think they were terribly crazy. I was even in a school that was a Title 9, was a Title 1 school. So
Yeah.
it was. I guess you gotta be kind of a little bit crazy to get along with them. I guess that might fit my description. But yeah, the students. I mean, they were at that age. They are, to me, they're articulate. To me, they're much more complex than what you might think of for somebody that is, second or third grade. They do their best not to rely on the kid thing, trying to come out of that. So I enjoyed that transition
But
time.
they still respect you as an adult, but they're
Yes,
getting smart enough to that you can articulate to them in an almost adult fashion themselves,
yes, very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, and they can pick up adult skills
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember distinctly. I taught one kid, tried to teach one kid how to keep from being bullied. In PE class, that kind of thing. He came up. He did develop some skills pretty well. So
Good.
you know.
And
Yeah.
that's a time for it too.
Hmm. Most certainly, yeah. Because if you don't figure out something, it's a long road until senior year for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. But now, are you still 3D? Are you not still teaching math in seventh grade or no?
No, not anymore. It turns out I did not have the disposition for seventh graders at that time in my life.
Mm.
I think I would manage much better now,
Hmm.
than I did at the time. But um, it just was a little bit. I just wasn't right for it at the time, and I went into software development at that point.
Oh,
And then
okay. There we go.
I did 10 years of software development. And while I was doing software development, I heard about this crazy technology called 3D printing. And
Uh-huh.
the idea for it immediately clicked in my head.
Oof.
But I was still a young parent. I had children. I couldn't afford to pay the 800 plus for parts for a rep wrap kit, because that was how you got a 3D printer at the time, was you
Yes. Yes.
self-sourced the parts. There were no kits. There was none of that.
Oh my.
But what I could do was, I had previously in my life studied 3D animation. And so I had
Oh.
learned to make 3D models. And I was like, well, I'll bet that skill would transfer over. So I started making models for 3D printing, and I uploaded those models to this brand new website that nobody had ever heard of called Thingiverse.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that brand new. My things were still only in the tens of thousands. I think my earliest thing is like 10,000 or something on thing, which is a low
Hmm.
number for Thingiverse now.
Yes. Yes. It's incredibly low.
But I uploaded those to Thingiverse. A couple of people printed them, and one dude sent me one of the first things that I modeled, and that was it. I was hooked. I was never going to go back.
Wow.
And so, and now I'm fortunate to actually work as in my day job at a maker space, because I showed up actually with a 3D printed tie on, and they were like, "Yeah, this is the dude.
This is our guy." All right.
This
And
tie actually, it's made out of ABS, because that's what we
oof.
printed in back in the day."
Oh my
And
goodness, back in the day. So you're talking home. Let's get a number on this.
this is more than a
2010.
decade ago.
Oh, it's
2013
Okay.
tops, earliest. Yeah.
Whoa.
Well,
Okay, I can see that.
no, I take it back. When I got the job, that was 2018, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. ABS. I mean, like, okay, so you're putting ABS in your own home?
Yeah, well, because my first 3D printer. So, but before I got the job, that got me this, that I wore this tie to, um, my first 3D printer was a MakerBot Replicator 1, because it was one of the first 3D printers that came fully assembled in a kit. But I didn't buy it. They were running a couple of contests for, like, design something cool, and I entered a contest for it and lost, and then entered another one and lost, and entered another one and lost. There it goes. There's the
this is a blog post right from 2012 where you're talking about a
Whoa,
contest.
okay. All right.
So
Now
it was
we're talking.
2012 when I got my printer. Yeah.
Whoa, okay, yeah.
And
Yeah.
the contest that I finally won was, there's this brand new program called Tinkercad. Try it out. Make a chess set, and the winner gets a 3D printer. I made about a half a dozen entries for that contest, but one of those
Wow.
entries was, hold on for a second, let's see if I got it here. I don't know if I got it here. I don't have it here. It's over there. I'm not going to get up and get it.
Okay.
No, you know what? I am. Here, palaver for a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So,
Vicky, I did a summer camp for 3D printing, and I want to
the
say
Little Kings,
the Future Kings, yeah.
Future Kings, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I remember, I want to say that I picked up one of those. One of the students picked up one of those chess sets, because the chess set was 12 pieces of all the chess men, 18, I don't know what it is exactly, but 16, I think it's 16. But you could take them and print them, and then you could put them all together and they would make a robot.
That's got to be my chess set, because I'm the guy who made that.
Shut up.
Yeah, we know.
Nuh-uh.
firsthand that Joe's designs get around because
Wow.
one of our guests earlier in 2024 was a lady named Sarah from Labcraft Studios, and she had some videos, and one of her videos was one of your models.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, and
gosh.
it's always good when that happens. I wish that I could have like the viral success of like a cinder wing dragon or something, but it's always exciting when somebody. But no, so I had this chess set when I was a kid. It was from a dollar store, right? And so all of the pieces were like these vacuum formed pieces that had a little piece of felt stuck to the bottom of them. And of course, being from the dollar store, the felt just fell off.
Always falls off.
And so I discovered that if you took the head of the pawn and jammed it up inside the empty body of one of the pawns, that they'd kind of snap together and you can make a chain of pawns, and you'd have like a pawn snake, you know? And that idea kind of percolated in my head. And then when this contest came around, I was like, well, what if I could figure out a way to make them all Voltron together to make a chess set?
Wow.
And I came up with a drawing while I was riding the bus to work one day. And then I pulled up Tinkercad and I designed it. And
Beautiful.
this design, now this is not the design that won, but it's very, very similar to the design that won, because after I won, I printed out that design and it didn't work. It was kind of, there were bad design decisions in it. And one of the biggest
didn't go together.
Yeah. Well, actually, the biggest one that didn't go together that I had to figure out was a butt-to-butt joint that we could take two pieces, print them normally, but then have them fit together and not come apart. And what I eventually, because I originally had this weird interlocking thing, like I said, I had been designing for 3D printing for a little while, and I understood the idea of overhangs, and I understood the idea of bridging, and I understood the principles, but I had never, had it to hold in my hand. So I designed it with those ideas in mind. But what I eventually figured out, and I don't know if you can see it, the shape of this. Let's see if we can.
Oh, it's kind of.
Like, yeah, I can see that.
There you go.
Yeah, almost like a
Lego, almost.
Like a relief of a Lego.
So take a 2x2 Lego, split it in half, and flip one half over so that you got the dips on one side and the hole on the other. Then split it the other way and flip that over so that the dips are on opposite sides. But then Legos, the circles part of the Lego doesn't fully interact with the bottom of the Lego. It just interacts with the wall of the Lego, pushing against it and creating enough pressure to hold it in place. And I took advantage of that to create this base-to-base connector. And so that became the final design that became the chessbot. Now, the other clever design that I think went into this, if I can just toot my own horn for 1 second, is the use of knights as the feet.
They do look like little boobs.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Now, the one place where I really had to fudge it, though, was in the body. I just kind of had to paint king and queen imagery on it. I just had to take a robot body, split it in half, put a little interface so it locks in place, and then just kind of pretend like there's a king and queen on the inside there. So I fudged it on those two. Otherwise, the rest of them look perfectly like a normal chess set.
Wow, cool.
I think we have
and it Voltrons together in a very nice way.
It really does.
That design is out there, and you can download it and print it. Now, it was designed. Here's the thing. I probably should go through and redesign it one day. I'm going to take off my sweater. It's a little bit warmer in here than it was when I got home. But I need to take it and redesign it because it was designed for two things that have changed. First of all, it was designed for ABS. And like you said, nobody prints in ABS anymore. Except me. I print in ABS, but only if it's a small thing. Like Vicky mentioned the Cute Cthulhu and Friends, and I get smooth prints from them by printing them in ABS. But the other thing that excuse me, that this was designed for was for slicers that print. Oh, look at the cute snow.
This was before our big snow. This was like the day before.
By the way, you guys were mentioning the snow that you've been buried in. I should tell you that where I am right now, we have like 2-3 inches of fall leaves that I have to clean up. I mean, it's just so miserable.
Well,
I live in southern Utah. There's no snow here.
Wow. Well, you'll get a nice lat workout. That's
yeah. But these are so Vicky's showing. These are all printed in ABS and smooth with acetone.
Right. I noticed.
Which you experimented with the Polysmooth, right?
Yep. I still have some Polysmooth here. Polysmooth was an okay solution, but Polysmooth doesn't print as well as ABS does. ABS prints better. It smooths just as well. And because these are so tiny, you don't have to worry about the expansion problems. I'm sorry. I'm just so proud of the way that little Cerberus turned out. I love that Cerberus design.
He's my favorite.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing that I've probably been mispronouncing him my whole life. I call him Cerebus, but
it might be some. Maybe I'm mispronouncing.
I don't know. I don't. I've read a meme that you shouldn't judge people that mispronounce words because they learned it by reading, and so keep that in mind with me.
Yeah.
But it's a multi-headed dog.
This one's my favorite, so that's why he made the thumbnail. And I love the Minotaur. I really like Greek mythology.
Yeah, I think the Minotaur turned out very cute. Although what was funny to me was the Greek mythology tier of these guys. All of them have multiple heads, except for the
you did the
Minotaur.
Hydra too.
I did the Hydra, and then I did Typhus, which I didn't know about Typhus before this. It was really my audience that introduced that character to me. And Typhus is snakes the whole way down. He's all snakes. He's some descriptions of him have like 50 snake heads on each shoulders, and he has wings made of snakes, and his arms and his body's made of like the heck sort of fever dream were these people on? I swear.
They're trying to sell books.
Yeah. Well, or pack the Acropolis with the forums. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so now, Vicky, did you print these, or these are?
No, these are. I totally on it when he did the Kickstarter, and he mentioned that some of these creatures were suggested by his audience. That was one thing that Joe did with his Kickstarter is he had, a goal. And the stretch goals were allowing people to open up a conversation and suggest additional creatures.
I enjoy the collaborative nature of doing these in Kickstarters, and it's frustrating me when the Kickstarter doesn't do as well because I'm like, I want more of this collaboration. But with this one, Vicky mentioned that I had wanted to break into the toy industry. And so with this one, instead of just being digital delivery, because it was digital delivery, and Vicky has the STL files as well as I don't know how many other people, lots of other people have the STL files.
And we also got the carrying case too.
Right. Wow. But cool. I said, I want to actually try to use my 3D printers as a manufacturing platform and deliver on those. Now, I succeeded with that. But I will not say that I hit a scale that I really needed to be concerned about with in trying to hit that. However, I'd like to continue. I think Cthulhu and Friends has a lot more legs on it. I think we could keep going with it. In fact, shortly after the Kickstarter, I don't know if you've seen this, Vicky, but I made some potential future Cthulhu and Friends.
That's cool.
Who is on the bottom right? It almost looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Well, I mean, it's a non-copyrightable, legally distinct version of a kaiju monster. What's his name? Gamera.
Okay, cool.
Do you usually start your process with sketches, like paper sketches? Okay.
Yep.
Me too.
I'm a drawing pen to paper. In fact, a lot of the printer block designs I started with pen and paper. In fact, if you give me 1 second, I can probably share my screen, pull up a picture of some of the printer block designs that I came up with. But yeah, no, I'm big about I don't know. I'm old. So I started my artistic journey drawing in the margins of various ideas. Um, there we go. Here, show my screen. There we go. So after my initial printer block run, I said, well, wouldn't it be neat if we could have animals? And these are the ones that now these are absolutely ridiculous, designs, but they conveyed the idea of what I was trying to do. And then let's see, I said, well, what if we had spaceships and stuff like that? And what I ended up making looked very different than this, but it conveyed the idea. There's a generic blocks. Here's blocks with robotics in them, which I've made. They're called electro blocks.
That looks like a big track from the 80s.
Yeah, I might. Okay, yeah, you might have spotted that one because yes, for sure, it 100%.
I had one, so that's the thing.
Well, I never did, and I always thought, what the heck did you use that keypad for? I never understood.
Well, I mean, you use the keypad. You're supposed to, set it in a direction, tell it how many paces to go, then turn left, turn right, give it a route to maybe see if you can't get it to go one place and then come back. And so, it was an exercise in, okay, I'm gonna start from right here. We're gonna take this left, take this right, get everything in the house out of the way, make sure it doesn't get hung up on anything, and see if you couldn't get it to come back. It was a very manual process.
Yes,
but it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. It was good to. It was good. It was a good fundamental demonstration of programming and stuff like that.
And I'd like to maybe explore doing something like that in printer blocks one day. I haven't done it yet, but I do have printer blocks that have motors and servos and wheels and Arduinos in them that you can assemble together and make all kinds of cool stuff. I need to jump in and develop those a little further. But I have started doing those.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
Let's see, and then wait, no, that's not it. Oh, there we go. Nope. There we go. And then I had the idea of what if I could put little
pilots,
little characters inside there, and you'll see here I have the scale, and I said, okay, in order to fit inside a printer block, it would need to fit inside this much space. So I only had 28 millimeters tall by 12 millimeters wide to work with. But I said, okay, within that, if I could do that, then I can make cockpits that fold down like this, or I can make a standing cockpit that they go in. And I immediately had the idea of having 3 different factions: a faction of cyber barbarians, the heroic polyforce, which basically Power Rangers.
Okay.
And then from outer space, an anthropomorphic alien species called the Andromidians.
Okay. Wow.
Really thought that.
You heard it here first, and I'll just slice that.
Well, the thing is,
Battle Mecha?
Whoa,
yes, Battle Mecha was where I started to introduce some of these characters, and I did make 9 in each of those 3 factions and printed them out. And I used Bamboo Labs AMS printers to give them multicolor. But we've got these cyber barbarians, and I've got 3 different kinds. We've got the Andromidians.
Ooh, I like them.
I do too. I thought they were really neat. And then we've got the Polyforce. And the funny thing is, I'm the sort of crazy head that as soon as I started, Fix Them Up Dude I noticed in the comments.
You saw that?
We're waiting on the TV show.
TV show.
Because yes, I 100% have a story for each of these characters and all of them together that interweaves them together. And so to try to, and I should mention also, I have successfully put them inside.
Look at that.
Kits.
Oh, that's cool.
So we've got the chicken walker that the Blades pilot gets to go into, and we've got let's see if I can find one here.
How many printed block designs do you have? Is it over 500 now?
Individual pieces or kits?
I guess individual pieces is
individual well, if you don't mind me sharing my file structure here real fast, I can pull it up and find out. So
Wow.
these are the plates that are designed for
Yes.
convenient printing, so that you don't have to be like, okay, I need 3 of these and 5 of these. You just print a couple of plates and you'll have the whole thing. But individual parts here,
653.
yeah, it looks like 653, which we can probably skip a couple of those and just say 650.
Wow.
And I see you have some retired ones. So you have like kind of a version management system in your head, or
Yeah, it's very much in my head. But yes, whenever there's been one that I'm like, okay, that idea didn't work. And the other thing is, I try to organize them with a numeric value, if only so that they stay next to each other in the file structure.
Nice. Okay, I like that.
But there's still so many of them that it's really easy to not be able to find. First of all, to even know what you're looking for is overwhelming. And so I'm still trying to explore different ways to organize and make it easier to navigate, because it's just I worked on them for, excuse me, about 4 years, and like I say, over 650 of them. It's a lot. It's a ton, and I get lost in it sometimes.
Sure.
But could we talk about my plans for these?
Yes, let's do it.
Please.
What I want to do in the coming year, Fix 'em Up Dude, you're going to be excited to hear about this, is I want to take the characters and the stories that I've got for those characters and actually kind of tell them, but instead of telling it in a comprehensive manner, what I'm going to do is pick. You know how old GI Joes or Transformer toys used to come with a comic book page in them, right?
Yes, they used to. Yep.
Exactly. Well, I've taken the whole story and I've chosen 9 pages that introduce each of the characters. And I'm going to get those pages drawn up. I've written them up. In fact, here.
Wow.
Scripts.
Whoa.
And then I'm going to get them drawn up. And no, I'm not going to give it. This is too much. Give it away. You guys will know what it says. You gotta get the books.
Yes.
But I'm going to get them drawn up, and then I'm going to tell the story of these characters in these comic book pages. But then I'm going to take the comic book page that relates to the kit that has. So like this one, it has it's the spaceship, but it has the Anthermidian pilot in it, because the Anthermidians fly the spaceships. And I'm going to take this kit with its comic book page, and I'm going to put it out there for free. This is normally a premium kit, but I'm going to say, hey, if you print this one out and show a picture of it on social media,
interesting, yeah,
I'll give you a coupon code to the next one.
Oh.
And then if you print that one out and show it on social media, I'll give you a coupon code to the next one, and so on and so on and so forth, until you have had a chance to print them all out. And that way people will get the story of Print a Block.
Yeah.
They'll also give me some free advertising, but they'll also hopefully get the bug of Print a Block, because I feel like I've been sitting here going, these are so cool, people look at this, and people don't get it, and they won't get it until it's in their hands, until they're doing it. So fine, do it, and I'm going to give some away, and I'm going to tell this story. But I'm in the modern storytelling, theorizing bait storytelling that people do. I'm going to tell the story incomplete and out of order, and it's people's jobs to see if they can put it all together,
get that
and
figured,
get the whole picture of it told. Now, maybe if this catches on and people really dig it, the next step will be, let's continue to develop this. Let's flesh out this story. Let's put it in order. Let's tell the story as it needs to be. And how do anthropomorphic animals and cyber barbarians exist in the same storyline? Well, let's tell that story.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, great.
And then,
Yeah, well, I'm looking
how
forward
are you finding the comic book artists? Are they related to the same one who did your stickers for Cthulhu?
No. That was literally just somebody I hired on Fiverr. This was actually so. I actually had so I went to a toy fair a couple of years back, and I ran into a really cool dude who had been doing work on. He's been in animation for years, and he pulled. He did work on Teen Titans. He did work on Ren and Stimpy. He's done a lot of
Oh.
really cool stuff. But he pulled me aside, and he said, "Hey, I recognize you from YouTube." I'm like, yeah, good taste. And he said, would you come check out my booth? And I'm like, absolutely. And so we went and talked, and this dude was so cool. We ended up becoming friends. So when I started thinking, okay, well, I wanna start inking this and doing it properly, I could do it myself. I'm confident in my ability to do it myself. But if I could get somebody else to do it, it adds a level of gravitas to it to have two names on the byline. And they're probably going to do it better than me.
And you have a lot on your plate already.
For sure. And so I reached out to Tony and I said, hey, do you know anybody who, hoping that he'd go like, yeah, no, I'd love to do that. Instead, he puts me in contact with this dude who has an equally impressive resume.
Oh.
And I've had a chat with him, and he's like, "This is a pretty cool project. Yeah, let's do this thing." So I don't want. I'm not gonna like expose him until the project's out and stuff like that. But it's this could be something, man.
Wow.
I like how, one of our early episodes, Tessa Nessie took a 2D drawing of a cartoon character, made a 3D object from it, and then painted it to make it look like 2D. And I like how you're going back and forth, like 2D sketches, make the 3D objects, and now you're gonna have the 2D story to share with everybody.
Yeah, well, and I mean, part of that is just the economy of the situation. I just can't really, afford to fully animate it if I wanted to. But it's also it's the nostalgia of it. Like I said, old Transformer toys having those comic books in them and stuff like that. I want to evoke a little bit of that, like, bonus gift in your toys, except I'm doing it with a PDF because it's the modern age, and printing costs money.
and it costs money to ship it, and guess what? People don't hold
Although
on to it either.
I'm not opposed to the idea of taking these kits and turning them into physical products that people could buy, but and that way I could put out these multicolored toys that I've made, and because the way that I see it is most of the printed block, because they're assembled, it would be really easy to make a multicolor. Just print this plate in one color and that plate in another color, and the kit looks multicolor. But then the pilots, I would want to do them in actual multicolor. That way there's a little bit of a bonus in having that multicolorness there.
So, but you know what? Quick question though, Joe. Like, one thing that also that I'm picking up on though is, you are also putting yourself in position to have more people upgrade their capabilities, right? Through this
Well, I hope
project.
so. Yeah. Because well, I wish that we were at the phase of the world where a designer could prepare a 3D model, put that 3D file out there, and everybody can just go, ooh, I want, and their own 3D printers would jump to life and make it happen. But that's not the reality that we're living in.
It's close.
It's getting it's so much closer than it was 10 years ago when we first caught this vision.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if people want to take these kits and make them themselves, the connectors are best when printed in PETG. But if you want them to look pretty, the prettiest filaments are all PLA. So you're gonna have to switch filaments to do the connectors, and then to do the rest of the parts and stuff like that. And then if you want to do the multicolor pilots, you're gonna have to level up your skills doing that too.
Yeah, most certainly, absolutely.
And I'm okay with
pilots, that. I mean, yeah, absolutely. The multicolored pilots, that is That's kind of, it's almost like you remember, well, for people who are computer gamers, you may buy a video card and that's going to work for all the hottest and the latest and the fastest game, and then this new game comes out, and then all of a sudden the computer that you've got is a brick, or you need
Yeah.
to change out your video card
Yeah.
and the memory and so when I say
I
that,
I missed the day when you could just swap out components and keep your computer up to
good point.
date. These days, it doesn't feel like we can keep up anymore.
Right. Yeah. But what you're doing, what you're doing with this process though is akin to that.
Yeah.
Like a multicolor pilot. I want the pilot. I want it to be my high school's fighting colors. So
I'd love that.
I'm gonna print
I'd
it that
love
way.
that. Yeah. Well, the other fun thing is, I'm printing these with a 4-color process, which means let me really quickly go back to the picture of them all.
So they're not STLs, are they 3MFs or?
They're STLs.
Okay.
Well, they're STLs, but I do have 3MFs of them. I don't know if I've released the 3MFs of them or if I've just kept them private. I don't know. I might release them, but so I had to be judicious about my 4 colors that I chose for each one of these because, first of all, I wanted the teams to be obvious from a glance. So the Cyber Barbarians all have red and gray because they got metally components,
metal parts. Yeah.
But then, of course, we needed to have black on there because it's a good contrasting color, and we needed to have skin tone because they all had skin tones. Then we get to the beasts, and I'm like, okay, well, crud. I have a dude who I patterned after a flamingo here. So do I need to make him red? Crap. What do I do here? And I had to really hard figure this out. And eventually I decided he's patterned after a crane instead. So no flamingo.
I was going to say ibis.
Yes.
I think the judges at Project Runway would approve of this. You have a cohesiveness in each collection.
Yes.
There you go.
And then despite the fact that the Polyforce are, like I said, based out of Power Rangers by design, instead of being multicolor rainbow, they all have blue to them because, again, that's what worked for this one. Now, each of them also has a little bit of a unique design, within themselves. We got this by the way is Princess Ginny.
Hey, Ginny.
She was named after one of my top supporters, but
oh, that's so cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, but that also set a precedent in this world where leadership it has kind of humanity has kind of evolved to a matriarchal society, and they call their matriarchs princesses because they've lost all meaning to that word. And so
cool.
And so women leaders are just called princesses. So I have an idea of like 3D princesses. 3D princesses.
I got it.
I love it.
And
that's awesome.
And
you had to repeat it for me to pick up on.
Yeah, no, it was subtle. But another series of minis that could kind of be like bands, and the leader of the band is the princess.
Oh, yeah.
So this is my crazy head. Okay, I do way more world building than I should, but I never
But it is facilitated by digital fabrication, 3D printing, right?
Yeah,
wouldn't
absolutely.
Be possible those things wouldn't be possible to come out of your head if you didn't have those machines.
No, and I think that's part of the thing is because 3D printing takes so long, the process. That by the time it's done, I've had plenty of time to like let this idea stew and percolate.
So stepping back here, you named this after one of your supporters. So that's like a hidden perk if someone joins your membership plan or your Patreon.
Yes,
like maybe one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she has been a backer on almost every Kickstarter I've done and never fails to support. And I felt like she deserved that. Absolutely.
She's a raving fan. Yeah. That's great.
I should do the same for these other characters. I do. Okay. So this guy right here, he's already got a name. I can't change that. He is Bronan, the Cyber Barbarian.
Okay.
Okay.
Lucutus, or I can't remember Picard's.
Yeah, he's got a little. Well, the funny thing was, I tried to model him more after Richard Mole, because Richard
from
Mole,
Night Court, right?
Yeah, from Night Court.
Ah,
But he also played a character in a movie called The Death of Metal Storm, The Death of Jared Sin. Richard Mole played the leader of the Cyclopses in that one. And it was just they put a like a prosthetic goober over one eye and called him a Cyclops. Although this movie is interesting. If you go and watch the trailer, you will see an early version of the Cybertruck. I promise you.
I believe it.
No, like they were driving around things that looked exactly like Cybertrucks. They just looked only slightly less flimsy. Then there's this dude with the camera on his head. And then there's this lady, which I'm calling Lady Blades. But I feel like this guy, I could take another backer and put his name on that one.
Yeah.
I could potentially put backer names to these guys as well, although they're aliens. So I tried to give them like alien sounding names. But and the other two Polyforce dudes could 100% have backer names too. Yeah, absolutely, I could do that.
Did you print these guys and gals and princesses in? Was it 0.2 millimeter, or did you use a 0.4 millimeter nozzle?
0.4. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can kind of see there's a little bit of.
They're so small that
you can see the layers now.
Yeah.
I imagine that it would kind of drive you nuts to try to get those to actually come out.
Well,
so,
yeah, that was certainly part of the challenge, was to make them so that there would be enough detail that they'd be distinct enough, but two, not be so much detail that it wouldn't print.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I really enjoyed that challenge. Excuse me. And it's a challenge that I've been, when I made my first Kickstarter, the low poly dinos, I had to think about, well, how thin can I make their necks? And I had to think about, okay, people are going to take them and they're going to scale them down 50%. So I need to scale my tolerances up, by 2 or 4 times to make sure that would work.
Yeah,
but then I also wanted them to be like relatively kid safe. So I didn't want the tails to be too pointy or things like that. So I had to think about all of those. So
wow,
all of these considerations.
Yeah, very similar to what Abby Brown was talking about with the community Christmas print challenge, where you need to vet these things and make sure that they're going to withstand the playtime. But I think that's very good planning ahead, Joe, to think about people sizing the pieces down and not keeping the original size that you're envisioning.
Yeah,
testament to your experience.
Well, and I'll tell you, I would love to revisit low poly dinos as well, and maybe use them to make like little play sets out of. But I wouldn't make them low poly. I'd want to make these ones high poly and make them rounded and give them details and stuff like that. The low poly dinos were also fun because I got to play with different orientations for the pieces. That shark that you're seeing on the side there, the megalodon that everybody was so insistent I put in, he prints on his nose.
Nice.
Tail up, nose down.
Oh, I see. Wow, man. Well, I mean, 3D printing and design and execution. It's great that you were able to get in so early and explore the space this way. And so
I was, like I say, I was fortunate to have some skills that would transfer to begin
really
with.
do. Yeah.
But the idea just made sense to me. But even then, the first thing that I made was a Chinese chess set, and I put basically a little icons on little pucks. That's Chinese chess.
Oh, okay.
But when I held that in my hand and looked at it, I went, "Holy smokes, we can't go as tight." If I have a 1 millimeter gap, a 0.4 millimeter nozzle and a 0.4 millimeter nozzle leaves a 0.2 millimeter gap in the middle. And nowadays slicers take care of this, but back then slicers left the gap. And so these are things that you don't learn until you're actually holding it in your hand.
Right.
And I've had over a decade now to hold it in my hand and go, okay, I think I can cut this problem off at the pass.
Yeah,
stuff.
I am impressed with how much you go back and revisit your early designs, because I'm designs where, you know, I originally designed them for the SLS laser centering printing at Shapeways, and
Yeah.
I've never gone back and like
And it's a
fixed the
completely
for
yeah.
FFFFDM, and they're nice designs. I'd like to do that one day, but
Well,
I'm
I
always like
do, like
moving
I said,
forward.
we're going way back now, but with this chess set, one of the things that it was designed in mind, because you know the joints have to be a certain tolerance, but back then slicers sliced on the line, which is to say, if you made a circle that is 4 millimeters across, it would in actuality be closer to 4.4 millimeters across, because it
Oh,
would draw on the line, but it would draw on the line with a 0.4 millimeter extrusion, which means it was going
yes.
0.4 millimeter to the outside. And of course, the way that we
That's a
fixed that,
cam.
right. And nowadays, slicers go, well, let's just shrink that so it fits within the circle, which is the way it's supposed to be done. But back then, they didn't. And so what would we do? Well, we just design everything a little bit smaller. So if you printed one of these out now, the leg joints don't fit. The leg joints are too loose. In fact, all the joints are too loose. And so I need to go back and redesign them for modern slicers.
Well,
I
but
just haven't
one
done it.
one thing, Joe, about what you just shared is that people like me, I got into 3D printing. I bought a kit for $800, and it took me like 2 weeks to put together, and I almost quit.
Yeah,
Because
I
it was
would
just
have.
so hard to produce anything. And so, but then when I finally got it working and I got stuff, where I can make pieces, then I started to explore. I'm like, well, maybe I can make some more complex things, multi component things that I can put together.
Mm.
And I don't know if you remember. Maybe, I mean, I need to. It's a little bit embarrassing, but like there was a 3D printable trumpet that was supposed to be playable, that you're supposed to
No,
snap
but I
together.
want to do this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's on Thingiverse. Last I checked, I probably will go ahead and just make it again because I'm frustrated. But I was frustrated by it. But my point is that I was thinking that I was low skilled in my 3D printing, but it's also quite possible that the slicer was not handling the object such that it could
Yeah.
actually be assembled correctly. So thank you for that out.
Yeah. No,
I needed that.
it's entirely possible. 3D printing has grown a lot. We've grown a lot with 3D printing. But
Yes.
even back then, I mean, I have to admit, I uploaded a lot of designs for 3D printing that I never tested or 3D printed. And there's still a lot of people doing that now.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yes.
and part of me is like, man, what the heck is wrong with them? And then part of me is like, oh yeah, I did that too at first. And you know what? It was my entry in. The difference was I did it when there wasn't a whole lot of people in 3D printing, and the only people who knew what they were doing. They're doing it when there's a lot of newbies. How dare them?
Yes. But the other side of it is that I tell my students, and I have to remind myself from time to time, that just because it's on Maker World or Thingiverse or
No, yeah,
printables, just because it's
Yeah.
there doesn't mean you can actually do it. Doesn't
no.
mean it actually works.
Always look for a actual 3D print of the thing that somebody else has made, because
Yes.
otherwise you're going to be the first to make it,
Yep.
and you don't want to be the first to make it.
I was an enthusiast of doing things first. And so yeah, I had quite a few belly flops. The closest thing that I can have to a claim to fame is that when MakerBot released the T-Rex skull,
I remember
like
that.
remember they were selling it for like $25-$30, and
Oh,
then they
yeah.
made it free. I
Mhm.
think I was like the fifth or the sixth person to actually complete one and post a picture.
That was the one.
So
Did that one print in two pieces, and like the jaw went this way and the head went that way, and then you put them together and they went the right way?
that was just the head. I'm talking
Oh,
about
just
the
the
whole
head.
skeleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know. I think I remember.
Actually, I
Yes.
think I have that skeleton at my makerspace. I didn't print
Really?
it. Another patron printed it, and they were like, "Hey, this turned out really good, but we want to make it bigger. Do you want the original one?" And I'm like, "Sure,
Yeah.
I'll put it up on the ceiling and let it scare the kids."
Yeah. Yes, that was a really, really fun print. So yes, truth be known, yeah, there was a lot of prints out there that if you're not the first one, and if you are the first one, you're going to have some disappointments. But being first, that's pretty fun too. High risk, high reward.
If you're ready for it, but
Yeah.
you just got to make sure that if it's their first print, that is to say, if this is the first time that they've done a 3D print, just don't let it be a first
something
3D
super
print.
challenging. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, I agree with that 100%. And we actually, when my practice in running my lab for 3D printing is that students will come in and test cube. I'm not even going for benchy. Test cube X, Y, and Z. 20 millimeters. Let's measure it. Okay, you're done. First day.
I mean,
That's success.
Print
those
test
printer blocks?
printer blocks. You know,
Okay.
just 16 millimeters, and then they can print a couple of connectors, and they can have something to build with.
Wow. And so the connectors are, you said the connectors are PETG.
They don't have to be. They print well in PLA, they print fine in PLA. They work fine in PLA. The only problem with printing them in PLA is that they eventually bend and don't flex back. And so you have to take them out. Okay, that one doesn't want to come out, but you got to take them out, throw them away, and print a new one. If you print them with PETG, they tend to flex and unflex a lot longer, and they last longer. That's all.
For my own personal practice, that would be great. I have at my college, I've made it such that the only thing we're going to print in is PLA, because there's so many people coming in and out of that lab that they might just pick up a random roll. Oh, this roll looks good. Let's try this. And it's PETG. Then I get a phone call because we got a filament jam.
Yeah, because they didn't set the temperature right.
Because they didn't set the temperature right. Yeah.
No, I do this. I do the same thing at the makerspace. We print. Everything's PLA, and people come now at the makerspace. People are coming in and they're saying, "Well, what if I bring in my own material?" My answer is, you can do that, and we will let you use it, but we will charge you as though you were using our material, because there's a higher than average chance that I'm going to end up cleaning it up later.
Yeah.
You know, and some of our most spectacular fails are in other materials, and it's not that the 3D printers can't do those materials. It just, you need to get your settings right, and then you need to watch it for just a little bit longer to make sure everything's good to go before walking away.
Oh yeah.
So Joe, two things here. First off, Fixum Dude, who's the MVP of the chat today, he is suggesting that there's a
whole house made of printer blocks.
Which maybe, if that's ambitious, maybe you at a Rip Festival or 3D Printopia, your space, maybe you have the community.
That would be fun. That would be real fun, especially since I did a little while ago, and I want to revisit it, make printer blocks that were pretty much well designed to be dungeon tiles, essentially. And so it'd be fun to make at least part of those. Or at least a dungeon room would be neat.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Accidental TPU with PLA
settings.
Yeah.
At
hey
least,
man, I feel like people just don't know. People just don't know. You like if everybody
Jeff,
knew. If everybody knew, it'd be like going to the DMV or something. But yeah,
that's right. Jeff, was that on a Bowden style printer or a direct drive? Please tell me it was at least a direct drive, because if they're trying to push TPU with PLA settings, it went sideways off the extruder and just
didn't even get started. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, while we wait for an answer, that is a mess he's had to clean up more than once. And then just a little bit of timekeeping. I don't know how much leeway your schedule master gave you, Joe, but if you have time, we'll switch over to your tip in a minute.
We do have tips that we need to talk about. I don't want to. I want to get that out of the way. Well, if you want. So one question that I ran into recently on Facebook, which I need to mention, I am on Facebook to find people who are new to 3D printing and help them with 3D printing, because there's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of terrible people out there who are trying to convince you that you need to pay them money. Oh man, that's.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you mid-thought.
No, I had to see the answer. But And I want to sit there and run interference for them. So that's why I go on Facebook, not because I like Facebook, but somebody on Facebook.
No, I mean, that's something that we hear a lot, especially in the women 3D printing groups, that they're, and we've talked about this on the show before, is they're getting kind of abrasive reactions to their questions. So like we have groups that are just women and they find themselves more comfortable to ask the questions there. So people like you and Lawrence, I know that you're going to these Facebook groups and trying to help the new people before.
I mean, I will admit that
before it gets serious,
there are, depending on the request, I will sometimes, abrate them myself, but that's generally for the people who are like, hey, does anybody want to model this for me? And they're showing the picture of something that somebody else has modeled that they have put their Patreon link on. And what they're saying is, I want somebody else to use their time and skill and energy to remake what this person's time and skill and energy made, but not charge me any money for it. I will rake you over the coals. I will absolutely destroy you for that garbage.
As an artist, that's very serious, especially coming, and you know what that's all about. So
no, don't. First of all, I've said this before. 3D printing is my love language. If you're my friend, I will model for you. I will print for you. We will have a great time. But if you are a stranger, you're going to pay me.
Yeah, my modeling rate differs very substantially depending on like someone that's or something, or even if it's a project that I'm interested in or something that sounds fun, then you'll get
and that's the other thing. A lot of people will make these requests on these Facebook groups and be like, I saw one recently where somebody was like, can anybody model an auger?
Okay.
What size? For what? How long? How short? How wide? Give me some detail. What for? Sell me on your project. Don't just throw one word out there and say, you know what? Go to Meshy AI, plug it in, and take whatever the heck it gives you because that's what you deserve.
How do you really feel?
You've got that good menacing voice.
I have 6 kids, remember? No, okay, so one question that I ran into in Facebook is how to quickly measure stuff. Somebody had a picture of something and they were like, what's the best way to model this? The technique that I have been using for years and teaching for years is very simple. Take your object, lay it on a piece of graph paper. Now, here's the trick for it.
Are you ready for me to share your screen?
Yeah, share my screen. Okay. I got it up here. Okay. Yeah. You want to take this picture as far away from the object as you can, but zoomed in as much as you can. That will get rid of the fisheye effect. If you're up there close, you're going to get fisheye effect. So take that camera, move it as far away as you can, but zoom in as much as you can, and then take your picture. And then here's what you do. Modeling this in Blender. This grid paper is, I believe it's 1/4 centimeter. Is it 1/4 centimeter or 1/2 centimeter? Crap, I'll have to go check. Let's pretend it is 1/4 centimeter for this exercise. And here's what I'm going to do. I took this picture and I imported it into Blender. Nowadays, when you import a picture in Blender, it imports it as an empty. But that's fine. It makes it great for reference. So I'm going to select the picture. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so it's rotated the right direction. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to start scaling it. My goal is to scale it until this grid lines up with this grid. Actually, I just about nailed that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I didn't expect to do that fast. There we go. Okay. And then once you got that line, now, of course, I think I've got it wrong because this is supposed to be millimeters and this is 1/4 centimeters or something like that. But line it up properly. Okay. And then once you've done that and you've got it lined up so that the grid lines up to the grid lines, you can start tracing your object in Blender. So I got a cube here. I'm just going to add a cube, move it over it. And
that's almost perfect already.
That's almost perfect already. That's how I know that I really don't have this lined up properly. But that way you already know that if the grid is lined up with the grid lines, then your scale is lined up. So you've automatically lined up your scale. You can design to scale automatically, and everything falls out easy peasy. That's my tip.
Wow.
Nice. I've been to, I do it a little, like I would take a picture. I need to do the graph paper part. And maybe I'd measure like one side of the dimensions. And then I would use the scale to scale it to that, or I'd type in the exact dimensions in Blender. And then I'd use the scale to like copy whatever it calculated as the scale and copy it to the other dimensions.
And that's certainly, I still would not discount having a pair of calipers nearby and double checking your measurements as you go. But this in my experience has gotten me, if you don't care, if you don't have to be within tenths of a millimeter, this will get you close enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I noticed that my grid is only lined up partway correct. So now the other thing is it used to be that you could import as well, taking it. So Fixmap Dude mentioned taking it with a ruler. That is also an excellent way to do it, but just do the same thing. Don't take the ruler and point it at your object. Take the ruler and point it at the edge of your field of view. Cut off the picture at your ruler and line up your ruler's grid with the grid paper.
Yeah, I never, this is the thing. I learned so much from you, Joe. Like the circle select was a big game changer, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't learn that until like the last couple of years. I think you were doing some kind of little live stream yourself, and
So. No, and I can't even be like yes, I taught circle select. No, I just used circle select, and you were paying attention. So that's on you, Fiki. That's just you being awesome. Great and wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, you remember.
I think now I got the scale a little bit closer. Now I will say it used to be that Blender had a import plane or import image as plane. And that actually has an added advantage in this plan because you could go into edit mode and move the the corners around, and and you could distort it. If you got some keystoning, you could unkeystone it that way. This is not doing that, and I couldn't find it before this. So if anybody does find import image as plane, can you tell me what it's named so I know what to Google now?
That is often a lot of the battle in 3D printing and Blender is just knowing the right term.
Yeah.
So I always like try variations of things. You go.
I was gonna say one thing that changed recently in Blender. The reason why I was having such a hard time with it is we got the add-ons here, right? And you just have these add-ons, but what happened to half the add-ons that I'm used to using? The 3D print toolbox isn't in here. Yeah, that's because you have get extensions. They've moved them offline, and you have to find them in this now. So I'm sure that it's in here somewhere. I just can't find it.
Oh my goodness.
I just noticed.
Oh, so the import as plane is an add-on then?
It probably is. Everything in Blender is an add-on.
Interesting. Oh gosh.
And we both share the same Blender pet peeve that they took away that, when you go to export STL, the selected is not auto checked.
Why is that not on by default? Holy, these people, I swear. No, seriously. Yeah, see, that's much better. But yeah, you go File, Export, STL, Selection Only. On by default.
It used to be on. It used to be checked by default, and then they took it away.
And then they took it away, and then they updated it, and they didn't fix it again.
Hey, but is that what led to your monstrosity when you're doing the Cthulhu and Friends?
No. The monstrosity was just because I was modeling them all in the same place and putting them all in their own layers or collection. And then I accidentally turned on 3 or 4 collections at the same time, and I was like, "Oh, that's I'm going to have to print that." Here, in fact, if you want, I can really.
Oh, I found it. Oh, you got it?
No, you can go ahead and try.
I found your YouTube video on it that I can throw up on the screen.
Well, let's see. I don't know how long this is going to take to load, so yeah, you might be faster.
Okay, you have a big reveal coming.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, you
Oh,
talk a
boy.
bit, great, Joe, huh? Where is it at the end?
Well, no, you. Oh, hey, come back to my screen. I got it here.
Okay, okay.
So here, and actually, this is there's a dude who's making a 3D printer out with printer blocks, which is amazing. And he wanted to have a Haster holding a printer block, so I made that for him. But
Oh,
Wow.
the other Haster is just sitting right there, okay, and then Dagon is sitting right there, and Nephrin Ka is sitting right there. So they're all in the same space. They just are on different layers. But if I accidentally turn all of them on at the same time, well, in this one it's 90% Dagon. I'm not sure about this one. That first one though was just the 4 in series 1. One on top of the other. Can I oh yeah, let's no, where is the not that one? There it is. There it is. Okay, there we go. Slightly cleaner view. But yes, they're all on top of each other. That is Cthulhu, Q Cthulhu,
which
Subnigrok.
is a revisit of one of your old designs, right?
Yeah, I started.
Yeah.
I made these 4 guys a long time ago as a modeling exercise, and then I revisited them, and I was like, you know what, I could do more of this, and that led me to series 3, where we went to Greeks, and there's that, and the Minotaur that we talked about,
So
and Cerberus. And you'll notice that the Cerberus's tongue in the print is not red, because that's one too many colors.
okay.
So I had to make his tongue the same color as the ear. It's limitations, but we'll work with it.
And you don't have 2 of those newfangled AMSs?
I do, but I haven't got them both on the same machine yet, and I'm not going to. I kind of think that 4 colors is more than enough. It's both limiting but also freeing.
Yeah, sometimes if you get too many choices, you wind up kind of making like gray paste type of thing.
The other thing is, if you give me only 4 colors to work with, I will think about contrasting colors, and I will think about how things work together. But if you give me an unlimited palette, I turn into my dad on the golf course. No, I joke, my dad doesn't golf, but yeah, I just make the worst decisions ever. Yeah. And so limitations actually are really, really good for me.
Well, and sometimes they fuel creativity, where you
absolutely
have to think creatively around the restrictions and the obstacles.
Not to beleaguer our staying here, but for a little while I worked I did software development, and I also made a couple of indie games, but I always appreciated people who limited themselves to a color palette or limited themselves. And I made a game. Do you know the video game Portal?
Yes.
I made an ASCII version of Portal. It is called ASCII Portal. I'm not super creative with names.
Did you get Stephen Merchant to do funny voice work on it?
No. I did get a guy to do some sound work, and he basically made a Gladys talking through the muted trombone for it. So there is a sound of Gladys going, and it sounds like a robotic Gladys. It's funny.
Wow.
So like a mixture between Charlie Brown and Portal there.
Yeah, it's absolutely. But yeah, that's where that came from. Is I just modeled them all in the same space.
So yeah, it was an accident, Lawrence, and he posted it to Twitter at the time. It was Twitter.
Wow.
And people were like, "You got to print that."
He's like, "You need to print that."
When I was looking at it, I was like, "That looks like it's almost on purpose."
Yeah, almost.
This is another callback
Oh my goodness.
to Abby Brown's episode because she had a dragon scale pattern, and then she had the one going one direction, one going the other direction, and she accidentally exported them both, and it had a nice new pattern that she started using.
Yeah.
I love how when I put them all together here, we got one little dog nose poking out the side here, and then we've got an eyeball in this dog's mouth.
Nice. Yes. 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 Have you ever played a video game called Katamari? That's what it looks like. Yes.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to stop because I'm getting new into it.
Without doubt, one of the weirdest
Fix
games
him.
ever. Yeah.
Dude mentioned that we had our first How Would You Slice That strip tease when Joe was taking off his shirt.
Yes.
And
Well,
now we have our first aria or solo or
Yes, absolutely.
No, that was a
Very
sing-along.
first
Come
on the
on,
show
y'all
today.
join me on this one. Your singing along skills are too small. It must be bigger. That game was so weird. I loved it.
Yeah. It's
Vicky,
still
do you know Katamari Damacy?
Wait. That's not where. Oh no, wait. No, you go. You tell me.
It was on the PlayStation 2. The gameplay basically involved you started out a small ball and you rolled up
and you keep rolling, picking up
it.
things. Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But you need to look up the theme for Katamari Damacy.
Yes.
It's one of the most unhinged things.
Yes.
Like within the first minute, you know what you're in for.
Right. And also, but now just so you know, Katamari is on the Nintendo Switch.
Oh,
well, I don't have a Nintendo Switch. I need to get one of those.
You got 6 young folks in your house.
Yeah, well, I've been raising them on the classics. We got a Nintendo 64. We've emulated all the classics, you know.
Okay. Fair enough. But I think the Katamari is probably something you can pull down as an emulator somewhere for sure.
I have not branched into emulating PS2 yet, but I know it's possible. I know. Well, the problem is the ROM, which I don't want to get this. Maybe we should take this discussion offline. But they just get so much bigger once we hit CDs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So much more information.
It's difficult to have any sort of decent collection because each file is now cartridges. Back in the day, cartridges were 256 meg, and we were like, "What are we ever going to do with that much space?"
My first website, it was limited to 1 meg.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. No, and I mean nowadays, I dare you to write a resume that's only 1 meg. You know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Jeez.
So true. So true. But yeah.
Oh, you have more?
No. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, we could go on all night long, but we should probably stop.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, thank you so much
you.
for joining us. Thank you for I have some sappy stuff, but thank you for everything that you've taught me.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, I should have given you more time. I'd love to hear like one of your stories of
sappiness
well, I know that we have been connected for quite a while, but I don't remember when we got connected or on what level we connected. I just know that I've known Vicky Soma in the 3D printing community almost as long as I've been in the 3D printing community.
Maybe a few years later, I didn't come in until around 2014, 2015 or whatnot.
Yeah.
But
but you definitely hit the ground running at that point in time.
One story is, I think it was 2016, 2017. I was approached by Pact Pub to write a book, and I reached out to you, because you had already done it.
Because I had already done that. I remember that.
This could easily be something that there'd be competitiveness or jealousy or, I don't know. But you were nothing but helpful and transparent about what the experience was like and what I could expect. And I think one of your main advice is do it just for the advance. Don't expect royalties.
Yeah.
And
I think that's still true. Even after all these years later, I still haven't gotten any royalties past the advance that I got for any of those books that I made for them.
Does this mess up my story then? Because I just started getting royalties.
Oh, good on you.
This fall. So one time I asked if you were going to 3D Printopia and you aren't in 3D Printopia, but next time our paths meet, I want to take you out to dinner or something just to thank you. Like put these.
I mean, do I look like a person who passes up dinner? Come on, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, no, but I mean that always struck me because there's like, yeah, you didn't feel like territorial, like, hey, I'm the author. You know, you just like very, very kind, very supportive, and yeah, I really appreciate that.
I'm glad. Yeah, no, that's just not my vibe. I'm never gonna tell somebody. First of all, I'm not the best in anything that I do. If somebody else comes in and excels at what they do and beats me at it, good.
Good
The
for them.
world could use somebody better than me doing whatever the heck it is that I'm doing. I can tell you right now. So yeah,
I
I
think
was.
this kind of connects to is you had a video where you're talking about people, common questions, and people are like, I think I've outgrown your channel, and your response is good. Like, go on and blossom
Do something
and
great.
bloom.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's the same thing in my day-to-day job. I work at the library. And at the
great.
library, we charge people hardly anything to do 3D printing, but I have made sure that we are teaching them how to do it. It's not a 3D print service. If you want to do a 3D print, you come in, you learn how to use the machine, and you run the machine. And there's two reasons for that. One, I'm a lazy son of a gun. Two, they are coming to the library. They better expect to do some learning.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people use our 3D printers for a little while and they go, man, this is, I could, how much do these things cost? They're like really expensive, right? No, you can get one for like 400, 500 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then I never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
Do we feel bad about that?
No,
because they learned, they grew, and they're doing awesome stuff. So no, I don't feel threatened by somebody else coming in and possibly doing a better job than me at what I've already done. That's part of being a teacher. That's part of being a dad. Not that I consider myself a dad to you, but it's all part and parcel of that part of my personality that I'm going to be excelled by the people who I teach, and you love to see it.
That's part of the deal. Part of the deal.
Yeah, you want to see that.
Feels like a really nice thought to end on, right?
Yes, very much so.
Sounds good to me. Thank you, Vicky.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, we have a few little housekeepings here, which is How Would You Slice That is live on Tuesday nights that are prime numbers. Me and Lawrence have a bit of a break because the next prime number will be February 11th. We will be joined by Kaizen 3D Print, which is doing really neat creations on fabric. So as you know from the past year, I like to try to do some related work or learn or educate myself before the episodes. And so I'm looking forward to experimenting on the fabrics before the next episode.
Yeah.
Somewhere here I have a tie that was made by
David Shorey?
David Shorey, that was a 3D printed tie. Hold on one second. You keep going. I'll be right back.
Yes. Yeah, I'm really excited for Kaizen's episode. We're gonna have to I'm gonna have to double back with you because I have to figure out this whole thangs thing. But yeah. Do you have a thangs yourself?
I uploaded just a couple things. I'm not very good about sharing my models, and it's not that I'm greedy and like I'm just don't have the time, So
yeah, I know
if there's ever anything of mine that I print that people covet, like let me know. That will be a good motivation, and I'll go ahead and get it up on things or printables. All right, hold on. Let me solo layout so we can see David Shorey's work.
Oh wow!
And what's even better?
It's got a clip.
Oh wait! Don't look at all three of our ties.
Yay! Wearing the ties of pride. Yes.
But this is he's held it together with jump rings instead of sewing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely got cloth on 3D printed fabric. So
oh my gosh.
David
That's
Shore's
wonderful.
3D printed
Yeah,
tie. It's so groovy,
I remember.
man. I
Yeah,
love it.
I distinctly remember meeting him at the Rap Festival. Yeah, he was a lot of fun to talk to.
He's a cool dude. He is a cool
Yeah,
dude.
he's
super
still in
nice.
California, right?
You'll say,
Yeah,
we meet online.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yes. Yes. So that is going to be our episode for February 11th, and looking forward to it. And thank you so much, Joe, for joining us and sharing the history. Like what I like about love about our show is that there are so many people who are inserting themselves in the history of 3D printing, the 3D printing community. Let's say it's people who've been around for less than 2 years, people who've been around for a decade plus, and everybody's contributing. And we really enjoy talking with everybody so much. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's
You're welcome.
it's kind of fun how this community it doesn't matter. There's so much about you that doesn't matter, but are you doing something cool with 3D printing? Your family. Let's do this,
Yeah.
I don't
And
care
we
where you're
learn from each
from.
other.
I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't even care what your politics are. You doing something cool with 3D printing? Let's hang, you know?
Yes, yes. I definitely know. We definitely, and we do, and that's part of the why we enjoy doing this show so much. So yes.
And speaking of hanging, we also have to thank everybody who is watching and participating in the chats. Thank you so much for coming and spending some of your evening with us tonight.
Absolutely.
All right.
And what about the January 11th and 12th? And you want to mention that?
Oh my goodness, yes. So if you're thirsty for more community time and if you want to help a great cause, the World Community Kitchen, the 1440 Makers is returning this weekend, January 11th and 12th. Joe, did I hear a rumor that you're going to be on a panel?
I have been invited to be on a panel on Saturday, but I forgot to tell my wife about it, so I better get on that.
Okay, but I know that you will be able to find Lawrence on the Parent Makers panel on Sunday. I believe that's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. If you hit the socials, you'll see a schedule floating around, and it'll give you like Pacific time, and it gives you a couple time zones so you can coordinate. I'll be moderating the Women Makers panel on Saturday, January 11th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. And I think if the schedule master approves it, you might see Joe as well. Not on the women's panel, obviously, but different panel.
I fully support women. I just don't get the carry that particular card.
Yeah. Well, there's only a certain amount of space that you show, on each panel. So, we're choosing to showcase a lady on that particular panel instead of Joe.
I think that is absolutely correct.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks for reminding me. And so hopefully we'll see some of you this weekend and at the 1440 Makers Community live stream. And other than that, we'll hopefully see some of you on February 11th. And you can certainly see Joe anytime on his YouTube station. And he also has a website that you can go and read his blog posts or, get links to his Kickstarters and also his YouTube station.
His website has something on the order of 258 items. It's some kind of like 3D printing encyclopedia. It's pretty wild.
Oh yeah, I think it's 248 pages of blog posts.
Yeah,
yes.
No, it's
yes.
Some of those was important, but that's a decade worth of creating a little bit of content at a time over a long time. But yeah, no, it's 3D PP professor. A lot of people just try to make it 3D.
Did I mess that up?
No, you got it right.
Okay.
I'm just making sure because a lot of people get it wrong. Just notice the two P's over here. Notice the two P's.
So
3D PP. Yeah, because I'm.
Yeah, you can remember Joe by PP.
Yay!
And I approve of that message.
This was a pretty long goodbye, but thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.
Good night, and thank you.